Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners to order. On Wednesday, March 29, 2023, Governor Healy signed into law Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act making appropriations for fiscal year 2023, which includes a 2-year extension of the option for public bodies to hold remote meetings by suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Chapter 38, Section 20. That action was effective immediately, extending the current option through March 31st, 2025.
Little echo today.
What is the echo today?
Where's Buckley when you need him?
Buckley's at the town of Milton,
All right.
a managers meeting. Okay, would you all stand and join me in saluting the flag? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. To call the roll, Commissioner Stady,
I am present, sir.
Commissioner Collins.
Present.
We have a quorum. We have no executive session today, so we'll go to number 4. Accept the minutes, of the open session meeting of February 14th.
Move approval
2024.
as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Minutes of the executive session meeting of February 14th, 2024.
Yeah, to be held.
So move approval of the minutes as presented to be held such time as the chairman decides to be these.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, we get to take it early.
Number 5, appointments. We have 3 appointments today, 2 of which were budget sessions. But we're happy to have the High Sheriff from Norfolk County here to say hello and give us an update, anything he wants to talk about. So Sheriff, come
What would you
on.
like me to do? Come right up to the table?
Right up in the
Very
chair,
nice.
Patrick.
Join us.
Very good, very good.
We'll bring
Good to see you.
this-
Nice and intimate here. I like it,
Yeah,
you know,
no time.
not like sometimes at these Board of Selectmen meetings where they keep me about 30 feet away, just in case, so. So it's good to be here. Just to let you know, with all full disclosure, is that at the moment, I've asked 2 of my highest deputies to commence the seizure of President's Golf Course on behalf of the Norfolk Sheriff's Office
Oh.
for the season
Yeah.
of 2024.
Nice try. Oh, boy.
So while you're not looking,
A little
we've
lawsuit, huh?
seized the Northern Territory.
We already gave you the hospital.
We want more.
Boy.
Anyways, no, it's great to
That's
be here
funny.
anyways, and we've known each other for many years anyways, and recognizing that the sheriff's office technically left the county government back in 2010. But as we all know, we all represent the county in general, whether I'm affiliated with the state or whether I'm affiliated with the county. So I felt it important to come here and kind of share with you some of the things that we're doing, some of the updates that I've done in the last 3 years since becoming sheriff, cleaning up the mess of the current treasurer of Norfolk County, over the course of 20 years, what he did. Now, Mike Bellotti left quite a legacy, and the place, it was an easy transition to take over. We had a lot of the veteran staff there, and it was a very smooth transition, and we're very happy to have that. But obviously the day-to-day operations haven't changed all that much. The facility is 40 years old now, or 30 years old, I should say. And, we still have about 350 inmates on a day-to-day basis. Back in the day, it went as high as 720, I believe, at one point in the heyday. But, criminal justice reform and things have changed over the years. There's not as much incarceration going on, and certainly COVID had a big impact in terms of our population at the jail. So those that are current occupants of the facility, for the most part, need to be there. They are generally a public safety issue for them. And our job, basically is to, as I say when I go out to the towns, my job is to deliver back to the communities that we represent a better product than what I received. And so, the men that are serving, we do still only do men. Our female population is currently serving in Suffolk County, so we have a partnership with Sheriff Tompkins, who has a full female program there, so he works with them. But, our principles that I ran on, and, in classic campaign mode, you come up with your theme on the back of a napkin, usually at a tavern or at a coffee shop. Mine was at a coffee shop. And we came up with the theme, and it's resonated with us on prevention, intervention, education, and hope. And those four pillars are upon which we build all of our programming, all of what we do, both inside the facility and outside the facility. Our educational programs are, I think, second to none, and I've been all over the country in different programs and working with different sheriff's offices and small rural sheriffs and large urban areas. And I put my educational programs up against all of them in terms of what we try to accomplish for the men that are incarcerated. We focus on making sure education is the first pillar, to make sure that they have at least their high school education, very minimum. But we've expanded a lot of the curriculum to include college certificate programs, partnerships with Quincy College, with Massasoit Community College. And I dare ask if there's any jail or any prison in the United States of America that can officially say that they have their inmates getting college credits to Northeastern University or MIT. And we have that at the Norfolk County House of Correction. We have a very aggressive employee program that works with our inmate population to help them develop the soft skills of how to create resumes, learning how to search for a career, and practice interviewing. Very simple thing. Reentry begins on day one in our facility. So whether you're serving 10 days, 10 months, or 2.5 years in the House of Correction, your reentry begins on that first day. We have a full service reentry team that works with each individual to create an individual plan, largely based in part with their education, but also mental health and substance use disorder issues. Some of the issues that we deal with, we focus on getting people jobs. Name of the game, if you get out of prison without a job, or without housing, or without health care, you're more likely than not going to recidivate. So we focus our career opportunities within the jail based upon that. So we allow for folks to get their CDL license. We have a carpenter's apprenticeship with the New England Carpenters Union. We're building out some apprenticeship programs with other building trades, because that's where the jobs are. We also have a program that does culinary arts. Hospitality is desperate in getting people in food service industries and hotel and restaurant management. So we focus on that. We talk about the mental health and substance use issues. Just about everybody in jail has one or both of that going on. It's sad state of affairs with some of these guys are going through, whether it's a lifestyle that they chose or the environment that they grew up in. Largely is based upon what creates a criminal environment that they got themselves involved in. We were a pilot program before I became sheriff to put medically assisted treatment in place. I was actually not a fan of that when I first heard that proposed. I just figured you were injecting one drug addiction to solve another drug addiction. And it really needed a pilot program to see whether or not it worked. And fortunately, the Norfolk program was quite a success. We continued it through COVID when I took over, and most recent studies have shown remarkable success in terms of post-incarceration drug use, that these programs work while people are incarcerated. And we have a full mental health team as well that works with these folks while they're inside. I talk about the reentry plan, and reentry is to me kind of the pivotal thing that I do on a day-to-day basis and what we do in the future. And one of the things that was missing, and it's missing throughout the entire correction system, not just in Massachusetts, but across the country, is there really is no clear path to success post-incarceration. That's the problem, is that, and that's what causes the recidivism rates to be as high as 30, 40, 50% sometimes. And that's because of a lack of post-incarceration services. So we've got to work on putting together something that was based upon that final pillar that we put together, and that's called Hope. And we've developed now, and we're getting ready to launch the Hope Center in Norfolk County, which will be at the former hospital site down in Braintree. And that Hope Center will be an all-inclusive support center, which serves individuals post-incarceration. It will also serve people prior to them getting involved in the criminal justice system, as well as those that might be dabbling in the criminal justice system, to really find a place for at-risk population, and those that have no place else to turn, whether it's for housing issues, jobs, or other safety nets. The Hope Center, which, by the way, stands for Healing, Opportunity, Purpose, and Engagement. And that Hope Center is currently under construction. The old nurses' quarters down at the respiratory hospital is being converted. Half of it currently used for administrative purposes. The other half is now being converted to the Hope Center. Separate entrance, new interior motif. It's really going to be a welcoming center for people to really get their act together for the last. So it's going to be a good thing. So, but we still do jail tours for the kids, for civics groups. So if you ever have any, if you ever come across whether it's a school or a civic group in your communities, that we all represent the same communities, but in particular yours, that are looking for a jail tour, we do that. The biggest bang for the buck that I get, and that I want to share, obviously, with my colleagues in government, certainly because we're all in the same mix, is the community service programs and the outreach that we do. In particular, the program that gets highlighted the most, and yet it's probably most likely to be in jeopardy, is our community service program that we work with our inmate population to go out into the communities. And we've even this past year alone, we've serviced 13 communities and have given back over about $200,000 in labor costs. And that's when given the opportunity for inmates to utilize skills sometimes, or just a day out to help clean up a cemetery or a park, rehab, help out rehabbing housing authorities, building out town halls. We've done a lot of those projects. And I say it's in jeopardy, not because of any kind of funding problems or any kind of lack of, opportunity. It's the fact that we only have 9 men that are now in our alternative center. As I said before, back in the heyday, there was a lot of those non-violent offenders who would be given an alternative center commitment. So a lot of those guys, a lot of drunk driving, a lot of simple criminal behavior that wasn't really violent offenses, drug issues. And those guys would be going out to the community. Unfortunately, now we don't have as many men who are qualified or classified to be able to do that type of work. They can't be out for various reasons. And so it's because of a lack of our inmate population to be able to get out to the community. So we try to keep up with the limited population that we have with the work requests. And so far, the team has done pretty well in terms of coordinating that effort. So we're going to continue to do that. We are going to actually do a deep dive on our reclassification plan to see whether or not we can get. And I wish I had hard data for it, but we don't yet. We have those 350 men that are being incarcerated. I've got to think that if we tweak our classification, we could find more men that would be eligible for an alternate sentence. So we're going to work on that.
But who sets those guidelines? Do you? Or the state?
It's usually standards that are set through the state, as well as, we work with the Department of Corrections on that. And it's usually standards that are national, that come out through the American Corrections Association. So it's just basically, there's a model that we adopted out of Ohio that is mostly a standard classification form that rates inmates, and it's based upon their at risk and whether or not they're going to reoffend, or they're going to be a violent offender while they're incarcerated, risk of escape, and all that fun stuff. So, but our external public safety stuff is something I'm investing heavily into. The sheriff is more than just doing the jail activities. We also have a very good partnership with Metrolec, which is a regional team of police departments and public safety officials, where we partner up with, going out on many call outs, whether it's a search and rescue or barricaded suspects, or any type of smaller town that we represent, doesn't have that kind of, command staff and personnel needed to effectuate crowd control. So we've invested heavily in a brand new canine unit. We have 5 canines right now that do drug detection, gun detection, bomb detection, as well as friendly fines. And we also, the most popular of our canines is Eddie the Comfort Dog, who goes out and visits hospitals and schools. And that's a great resource to have it. Eddie also, I don't know how many calls he's come to, but comfort dogs are also important, not only for PR value and providing good things like that, but comfort dogs are also called up on a lot of domestic violence scenes. They'll go out and or not just domestic violence, but any kind of traumatic scene at a criminal scene, and will be used oftentimes with young children or elderly people involved to keep calm the situation. So, but we were called out 76 times for our canine services last year. We also have our command post. That's usually the most visible thing that we bring out. That's our big extended RV. It goes out to, we are the #1 call-out vehicle in Norfolk County right now. With all the police departments, we always get called out for all the major operations for that. I instituted a drone unit. Drones are the future of law enforcement and public safety. Both police and fire departments are using drones extensively. Most of our smaller communities that we represent in Norfolk County do not have the luxury of having drones. They are expensive. Not only the units themselves are expensive, but to actually have an FAA certified licensed pilot is just too cost prohibitive for a local small town. I know Quincy's got drones, Weymouth has drones, I don't know if Milton has drones, but a lot of police departments, they either toy around with them, but they don't have a real drone unit per se. And but we do, and we have licensed pilots. We have a dedicated drone vehicle, which is like a mini command center that goes out for public safety issues. We still do have our civil process division out of Quincy. We just moved into a new office in Quincy next to City Hall. We seem to be following a pattern here of having our landlords be in the municipality. So town of Braintree is our landlord down in Braintree, and now the city of Quincy is our landlord at the civil process office. But that's still chugging along, doing legal process as well as asset forfeitures and foreclosures and things of that nature, gas shutoffs, all the pleasant things in life, as we all know. What I love most, obviously, the job is the community engagement piece. And this is where I want to make sure I share with you as much as possible. Our senior programming, we're getting relaunching next week. I think you've all been invited to that. I've invited all the elected officials throughout the county to really get a bird's eye view of exactly what we're doing, what we're teaching seniors across the county. So it's really important. I enjoy doing that. You've heard some of the signature programs, maybe the Are You OK program, which helps seniors that might be living by themselves get a phone call every day. We check in with them and make sure they're okay. In the event that we don't hear back from them or they don't respond, we initiate first responder response for them. And that's only one piece. We have the File for Life program. We have scam prevention, nutrition stuff. So we're rolling that out next week, and I hope to see all you there next Wednesday at the Fox and Hound in Quincy. Our other community engagement, our youth leadership is really hitting its stride. Special Sheriff and I just left Quincy Youth Arena. We put together a youth hockey tournament this week. We do a challenge by choice leadership program. So we teach that to all the kids, whether you play hockey or whether you want to swing on our ropes course in the summertime, or whether or not we go out to our schools. We do a miniature course on that consistently. We're going to be launching this spring our Veterans Outreach Program. We hope that you'll all get an invite to that. It's a big program in Quincy. We're actually going to, what's it called? Homes for Our Heroes.
Yeah.
We're going to be going out to every veteran's home in Quincy. It's going to be initial in Quincy, but we're going to roll out throughout the county. And that Veterans Outreach Program is going to be in May, I think May 18th.
Yeah.
But you'll all get an invitation to that. And
Awesome.
May 18th, I think it's Saturday or Sunday, I think.
It's a Saturday.
And we got to roll out basically.
It's the same day as Heritage Festival in Canton. So was that?
House to hero.
House to heroes,
Yeah.
but you always double
Oh,
dip,
that's
you can
right.
roll them around.
Oh,
Yeah, make a quick splash in
Get the
Quincy
clone.
and then get the
Get the
can out.
clone, there you go.
But the outreach program is big, and one of the other things that, I kind of frame the sheriff's office as kind of the chief public safety officer. Morrissey gets upset when I say the chief law enforcement officer. He likes to take that as his title, so, but I basically look at the sheriff as a public safety official that leads public safety charges. And one of the biggest things that goes unnoticed yet, it gets a headline every now and then, but we don't pay attention to it all that much, is the major crisis we have with our blood supply. And God forbid, we're only one small disaster away from being in a lot of trouble. Our blood supply is probably a 1 or 2 day supply right now. So if God forbid a major disaster hit any of our towns, we'd have a major crisis on our hands. So I've taken it upon myself to instruct us to start really reaching out and educating the public on how valuable and how life-saving blood donation and platelet donation is. So we're going to be starting to do a very aggressive campaign with a partnership with our veterans organizations to run monthly blood drives through the different veterans halls around the county. So certainly if you have any input on that, whether locally or within any of the communities that we all represent, our veterans are going to be vital in terms of partnering with that initiative for that. And finally, on the community outreach, one of our signature things that we've found a lot of success on is our summer safety fests. And we do 3 of those events every year. In the summertime, we're having our big launch in June in Braintree. We'll be going back to Sharon this summer. And then our 3rd event, I think we're trying to work something down at the Foxborough. And I believe there will be one in Quincy, which is kind of an added 4th one over in Ward 4. Councilor Devine has asked if we would have an event in West Quincy. And so we've agreed to do that. But where we're trying to build out the sheriff's office, our future is with partnership with our county officials and our local officials. And I certainly, as I harken back to the fact that as I started this, even though the sheriff's office kind of bifurcated ourselves from the county government, it didn't remove us from our certainly our willingness and our need to partnership with our county officials. And we want to make sure that we take advantage of the resources that are available, at least from the county level. But I want you guys to take advantage of the opportunities that we have at the sheriff's office. And while I joke about the golf course, it's a great resource up there. I always said President's Golf Course is one of the hidden gems that we have in Norfolk County.
You spent,
And I know the money the investment that's been made.
well, it needs more, but between the new park and paving everything last year was.
Big project.
150,000.
And the
And
playground,
The playground.
Right.
yeah.
playground too.
Yeah.
No, the new playground, that's what I
Yeah,
meant.
Your Aggie school, obviously, the Aggie is a gem as well. And, whether it's doing youth programs, in fact, one of the parents reached out and said, Sheriff, would you be willing to sit and have some of your folks come out and talk to the kids? And so we're happy to do stuff like that. So, but it's all about partnerships. We're launching our nonprofit this year, NSO Cares, which is a 501c3 that we'll be launching this year, because not everything can be funded through taxpayer money. I mean, the last few years, we've done pretty well with tax revenues, and the Commonwealth has done well, but I think we all know the headlines have come on pretty hard recently, and the good times don't always continue, and we will have to prepare for lean times. So we're going to be looking towards partnering with our nonprofit partners as well as our business organizations to help beef up our nonprofit so that we can continue to fund the programs that we know that are vital to keep Norfolk County safe. And that's pretty much what I've been up to. So
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Any questions while we're here? I think we'll make this an annual, or semi-annual.
yeah,
Go ahead, Commissioner
Yeah,
Skea.
quickly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Questions through the chair, of course, a couple of comments. We're very lucky, think about, I'm sitting here as a commissioner, I think of back the history of the sheriffs. We've been very blessed to have people like Cliff Marshall, and of course, Mike Bellotti, and all the people in between, and you're doing a great job. So kudos to you and your staff. You're just obviously, by this list of things, it's
A
overwhelming.
couple of things.
Yeah, just a few things here. But I remember, I'm going to miss you because I remember we ran in 2020. You were running, I was,
Yes,
we were
sir.
all running. And, what your campaign was. And it's great to see an elected official who's following up on what he said he was going to do. So you are implementing as best you can, what you put out to say. And you got grilled. There was a lot of questions across the
It was
county.
pretty
I was
good
there, I
feeling.
listened.
I know.
You had a lot of questions about, but it was good. No, it's a good job. So, again, great job
Thank you.
by you and your staff.
It's been great.
Couple of questions, and just a couple of maybe you can illuminate a little bit. You've got, we're very honored to have our superintendent of the Aggie schools here today. I don't know if you had a chance to meet him or
Love it.
talk to him,
Yes.
but I'd love to see, as a trustee of the school, I'll put my other hat on, I'd love to see more relations with them and encourage that, and whatever you can do. That's a great thing. Can't get enough of that. So any of you guys can do to facilitate that, if you need
Love
myself
to.
or the
There's
commissioners.
so many
I know
opportunities.
we'd
Just,
like
you
to see
just
that,
need, people with any idea. There's never a bad idea, however we partner up with that.
You
Back
might
in the
have-
day, they
yeah.
wanted us to bring horses back, I think, to
Yeah.
Norfolk County.
Yeah.
The mounted unit was
Yeah.
only gonna be coming back, and it was supposed to be a
Truck was
home at
stuck
the.
Yeah,
We won't be doing that, but.
Oh, okay. All right. that was the thought I had the next thing.
Hey, if you get the money, I'll take it.
Someone donates a horse, you never know. What about, like, I think you may have included it, but you also have a great honor guard that does so much
Yeah.
in terms of visibility and attending important events. They're
Right.
just great job. So again, it's all under your umbrella.
And that's another
So,
safety thing too, because, we try to honor, people that are from the community that we look at, like the funerals, for instance.
Right,
Funerals can be a very big public safety hazard,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not all municipalities can
Yeah.
take those on. Sometimes they have to take them on, and there's a significant cost to the family of the funeral home. Somehow it passes on. So we do a lot of the funeral stuff, and it helps out a lot with that. But in terms of going out to various events throughout the county, if there's ever a need for an honor guard, if the local PD or fire department can't handle it.
I'd like to think, collectively, us as a group, this board, I feel one of the things we're very proud about collectively is that we work well with local officials and state, especially in the opera program. We've been working collectively.
Mhm.
How can we help you out? Same token, I see you all the time. Your sheriff's always there with the local police,
Yep.
sometimes the state police, at funerals and things like that. So it's great. Norfolk County's in. I take pride in that. I do. I mean,
That's
when I see Norfolk County out there,
Yeah,
it's a great thing.
Lieutenant Sheen
Great
is
thing.
in charge of the honor guard. He
Yeah.
does a fantastic job. We were just with him at the hockey rink today. So he brings together quite a great team, and they do present well on behalf of all of us.
So tough question. I remember during the campaign, you mentioned it, recidivism. It's a tough issue for anybody to tackle with. Are you looking at other things you can do in terms of how do you attack that and how do you make improvements on that?
Well, the big thing is the Hope Center. I think it really is, as I said before, that in the past, and most jails are like this, you can put all the kind of programming in place you want, education programs, skills, you can teach kids, get your high school education, help you get through the RMV issues, get your license back. The problem comes when you leave the jail, and most of these guys have already lost their job. They're lucky if they have housing. If I see one more reentry plan that says where you're going after incarceration, it's just Broad Street in Quincy, Father Bill's place. I said it's not acceptable. And the problem is there's a stigma obviously associated with people who are formerly incarcerated. It's very tough to get a job, tough to get housing, very difficult to get health care sometimes. And so those are the kind of things we want the handoff from inside the facility to the Hope Center people. So our reentry coordination is I think, the investment that's going to be necessary for the recidivism program. The key is right now there's no teeth in a post-incarceration program from a legal perspective. So what you hear about typically is people do time in jail and then they're on probation. Probation is a great thing, or getting on parole, all great tools to kind of control the criminal justice system. However, it doesn't really affect lasting change in people's behavior. You always hear people getting violated for violating terms of their probation, and then they get back to jail because they missed an AA meeting or they failed the drug test, up back to jail. I don't believe in it. I think that a post-incarceration world has to recognize that people are going to stumble, people are going to fall, but we need somebody there to pick them up. And that necessary is not the PD. PDs, if there's a criminal behavior element with a guy that's formerly with us, hopefully they've signed up to the Hope Center through the trust that we're building while they're incarcerated, because that's another key thing, is our corrections officers, as I've educated, I think you guys know, our corrections officers are not, they don't carry weapons inside the facility. So their only weapon is their mind and their language and their vocal and their ability to communicate.
Is the Hope Center housing, Pat?
Hope Center will be
It
housing.
will be housing.
It will
So
be
it's a little
housing.
stopgap.
Right now, there won't be housing, but there will be because we have space, at least in Braintree.
Yeah.
Braintree was an alternative center at one point back
I
in the
remember
day.
that,
Yeah.
There were
That's right.
inmates
That's
housed
right.
there.
That's right.
And so we're not opposed to doing that. Obviously, it takes a few baby steps with that too, to make sure that the community is properly informed if we did choose to do that.
Mhm.
Part of what NSO Cares wants to do, the nonprofit, as well as, we've created some really good partnerships with the nonprofit community of housing and community development. We're actively looking for vacant land, dilapidated properties to invest in for transitional housing. To at least give formerly incarcerated men and women at some point, at least that leg up, 6 months of free housing to get yourself off the ground. Provided you've signed up with the Hope Center, we'll get you housing. We've already lined up a job for you. And then all the other stuff. You need like that extra 6 months of freedom, but still under a mentorship program. But I think the housing piece is key because none of them, you're walking out the door. Very few, if any of them, are going to have enough money to do a first and last and a security deposit at an apartment. Not going to happen, especially the rents these days. So they're oftentimes flopping at their old pal's house, going back to the people that got them in trouble, or they're trying to go back and living with their parents or somebody else. Doesn't work. The formula doesn't work. So until we get these people to be self-sufficient, we will never see the recidivism rate come down. Guaranteed. So that's the goal.
All right, two more. Thank you. Thank you for that. Two quick comments. So the obvious one is, what can we do to help you out as commissioners?
Any money?
That's well. That's that guy back there. He's got all the numbers.
Yeah. I think it's
I
advocacy.
mean,
Dick. I
just,
think it's really, I wanted to make sure that it's an ongoing conversation that we all should have. And, I think we all, we're all elected officials, and we share the county seat with, District Attorney Morrissey and, Clerk of Courts Timothy, Register O'Donnell, Register Brierly, and County Treasurer Bellotti. So we all have a same constituency, while we respectively have our own niches that we focus on. Collectively, we're all in the same business, to improve the lives of the people that we represent. And I think that the ongoing dialogue has lacked for many, many years. In fact, I do remember, maybe the chairman would remember days when, elected officials would gather and share discussions with each other. And, I heard legendary stories of meetings of folks, especially even after the commissioners would meet. There'd be social activities, and I think more things get solved kind of on an informal basis. But it may have been the name of the place, but I just think there needs to be more ongoing dialogue. We're all out there, working and representing people, and we're all in various stages of reelection, and we want to be able to go out and report to people what we're doing on their behalf. And I want to be able to share with what I'm doing and have you guys share in that. And I want to share in what you're doing. I mean, I love, having been a county employee, having worked at the Registry of Deeds in the past, I thoroughly get to know what county government, the value of county government was, and the valuable services that it provides. Obviously, I'm fortunate because sheriff, I get a little headline every now and then. County government doesn't, and I think that's a shame because I know the value that is provided at this table and outside of this building. So I think we just need to do a better job at doing that and basically telling the folks what we're doing on their behalf. So I'm there to help out back and forth.
Well, we'll look to continue those relationships and just keep up the good work. It's great.
Good deal.
A lot of opportunities, but I would like to say, hopefully, let's get a little more going with the school too. if
I'm
we
up
can.
for that.
We can.
That's definitely.
Great job. Great having
Good
you.
deal. Are we
I
all gonna
agree
be-
with the
all gonna be
chair.
at the Dedham St. Patrick's Day event in a couple of weeks?
Bill Kerrigan, I always get.
Much.
Well, next week, we have the breakfast first.
Huh?
Next week, first breakfast is next week, right?
Wednesday.
Yeah, next Wednesday, and then the
That's first.
following week, you guys will all get an invitation for the NSO kickoff party at the Adams Heights Men's Club.
Always something.
So,
Busy month coming up.
good
Great.
stuff.
All
I
right,
appreciate it. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
for
Thank
your
you very
time.
much. Thank you.
Is this gonna be the
Make this
longest
a
county
regular-
commissioner meeting in a while?
Could be, yeah, it could be. That's all right.
You don't, you want to
All
stay?
right, great.
Do you want to stay for the budget hearing?
If there's any money in it for me, I'll stick around.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great
You can
job.
go. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna stick to our schedule here. And today is the first of our budget hearings, and we have the school and then Wallace Recreation Facility. So we're gonna go right into it. And I'm gonna invite John Martin and John Wallace to come on up and take these seats. And commissioners, we've
Make sure I got it.
been supplied with a budget book. And as we hear the budgets, we're gonna have them, put into our book. So you don't have the total budget in front of you, but you will before these hearings are over.
So
So I'm gonna draw your attention to,
is this material in our book then? I guess, John?
yes,
that-
the answer is yes. John is here with us,
All
of
right.
course.
Grab 7 or 8.
Okay, thank you.
And
Oh, yeah, here we go.
welcome, gentlemen. You are fortunate enough to be
First,
the first to
Yeah.
come before us for the fiscal year 25 budget. Yeah, everything is here. I looked at it this morning. As usual, it's in good order. You can ask any questions you want. I can tell you at the outset that no decisions are made today. We're here to hear
Sure.
the departments, any questions of encouraged to be asked, and then we take everything under advisement.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may
Back to you.
politely
Go
add
ahead.
too, this process would involve these gentlemen presenting the same budget or whatever to the trustees as well, right? The
Correct.
the budget has to be presented to trustees
Yeah.
before we take a final vote. Is that correct?
Right, but if
Okay.
you look at your calendar, we're not taking the final vote till March.
Or maybe
oh,
April.
down there, down at the school?
No,
It's-
no.
Oh, here, that's John.
Here, but we're having,
Not till April. I think on the, on here, on here.
with the February meeting, yes. We get March.
Well, the main thing is no vote today. We're
Yes.
just presenting,
No,
so,
no vote.
I think this,
so go ahead.
the
let's go back.
trustees vote is in March.
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
Next
Yeah.
meeting.
March 20.
I meant commissioners, we won't be
Yeah,
voting.
we're March 27
Right.
is our drop dead date. We've been, I can't tell you that we always kept to it, but the last year or two we have, and we're trying to, we're starting today and we're gonna try to keep to the day.
Right.
So, I mean, I remember the days we were struggling here in July,
No.
3 or 4 years
Good job, Mr.
on
Chairman.
the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And technically, it starts July 1st. Okay, having said that,
All right,
John,
thank you for having us here. We'd love to go over what our plans are for next year. As has been pointed out, haven't had our budget approved yet by our actual school board. That's going to happen in March. But obviously, this is what we intend to present to them, pending feedback that we get from you guys. There are 2 documents there. One of them is a Word document. That's the budget overview. And then there is a bunch of Excel spreadsheets with a lot of numbers, which I'll be glad to discuss any number on the piece of paper that you guys want to. So let's just start out. First of all, we don't have big programmatic changes planned for this year for the school, right? We're going to do a strategic plan, and then we believe that as a result of that, there may be changes in subsequent years. But this is going to be pretty much a business as usual year in FY25 for the school. We have a couple of small changes that we're going to do on our animal science program. We're going to add chickens to our animal science program. We haven't had chickens for quite some time. I think we did have them in the past at the school. And we're also going to do something called a CSA, Community Supported Agriculture, for meat. We're going to have something called a meat CSA. These are both ideas that have been floating around at the school for a while, but they're going to be carried forward by our new farm manager who we hired this year. We've been blessed, I think, with 2 really good new administrators in the school. We have a new director of our food service who started in the summer, and we have a new farm manager who also started in late summer. And we're going to do a couple of small changes to our program as a result of having a new farm manager. But basically, it's
If I can chime in on that, it's a facet of this whole farm to table concept that was with the chickens and the CSA. The idea that the school will eventually provide opportunities for kids to learn, for example, and I've shared this analogy before, I'll say it again. Learn how to plant potatoes, you learn how to harvest potatoes, you learn how to cook potatoes, you learn how to serve potatoes. And this is a small step towards that larger goal down the road.
So what CSA means,
CB.
the CSA, what that
It's-
stands for? Yeah, yeah,
Community supported agriculture.
that's what
Yeah.
the concept is.
So yeah, we'll start producing product for the community.
Right. I see.
I just remember that, like growing crops has always been a big part of what the Aggie tries to do, but one of the things that comes up is the kids are,
Some,
the summer,
Mhm.
you know, who takes care of it? And that's always a big headache.
it's a nut we're not cracking, we haven't even.
Yeah.
It's on the radar.
The meat program is going to be 12 months a year. So there's just some summer months, obviously, we're going to have to carry through, but we're going to start in hopefully in September. We're going to start producing meat. So the nice twist is that we'll take animals from being born to production. Usually we've gotten them through being born and weaned, and then we've moved them on to somebody else. We've sold them to somebody else. We don't typically take them to production. So we're going to do that as an educational experience for our students who are interested in the business part of animal raising. If you're talking about meat. In the budget is an outside consultant to help us with our strategic plan. That was a good point that Peter brought up in our preliminary budget meeting for the school board. And also our students, our number of students in the school is growing. Because, a few years ago, we instituted 155 as our freshman class and our sophomore class, and we would backfill students if we lost them towards the beginning of the school year. And that's starting to come to its full fruition, so that we're really expecting to have 595 students next year in the school, which is more than we've ever had, more than we've I think ever had as a school, and getting right up to the amount we felt like we could service, which was 600 students. So that benefits. It allows us to have more kids because we have a waiting list. So the more kids we let into school, the more population we're serving, and also keeps our per student tuition costs down a little bit, right? Because you're going to increase that denominator. Right. So that benefits all of our out of county communities. On the revenue side, I'm not going to read every word. On the revenue side, we did get our tuition approved at our last school board meeting. That's not a number that's set by the management of the school. That's a number that's set by the trustees. So we do have new numbers. They represent increases for both in county and out of county of 4.5% and 5.9% respectively. Also on the revenue side, we've been growing our food service program. So we've budgeted more revenue from food service than in the prior year and in the year before that. When I came, we were in the 170-ish budget for food service revenue. And this year our budget is $280,000. So it's $100,000 more than what I inherited 3 years ago. So it has been growing every year. We've got everything going in the right direction in food service. And then we also have some revenue from our CSA. We're committing to selling a certain number of shares, and it's a good community outreach potential. The CSA, to get people more aware of the Aggie and to get them more connected to the Aggie and give the Aggie a little more visibility. So I look at it partly as an educational thing and partly as a community outreach, visibility, sales opportunity for us for the school if we do it right. And when we're dealing with a person in our new farm manager who has experience with CSA, has done his own CSA when he was his own business a few years ago. On the expense side, the important part of expense for all of organizations is people, right? Is how many people do you have and how much do you pay your people? So we are going to make we hope to make a couple of small changes to our staffing. We're going to add one teacher in our history department or social studies department, depending on the word you use. And that's going to be to fully meet the requirements of classes. We've been borrowing teachers from other departments to teach classes, and the assistant principal and academics said that that's not something that he would want to continue. He'd like to have a history teacher, a dedicated history teacher that gives us 6 teachers each in math, science, history, and English. So all those departments will be the same size. And then on the administrative side, we have two part-time positions, 0.5 FTEs that we're hoping to add, one in the area of special education, which is growing and growing and growing with the population in general, not necessarily the Aggie, but in general, special education needs are going up in the state. And then one person or half a person to help us with grants, which are also an increasing part of the job. The COVID grants are going away, but we're trying to get more competitive grants. We're trying to be more aggressive in getting grants. So I think there'll be plenty of grant work for a person to do it right. And I look at that as a position that pays for itself. If you're smart about your grants, you can take on more grants because you have the capacity, you file everything on time, you maximize the amount of money you get from your grants.
Where's the grant associate report to?
It would be part of the finance department.
Right,
It would be
finance
one of my direct reports. As far as salaries go, teachers, it takes care of itself. We're in the third year of our 3-year teachers contract, so there aren't really any decisions to make there. And then in the non-union salaries, we are going to use the same cost of living increase in salaries for non-union as union in the school, which is 3.25. Again, this is the third year of a 3-year deal that we have with teachers. So we're matching that cost of living increase. Other departments that are going up is the contract service expenses going up a decent amount. One of the things that's happening, I shouldn't say unfortunate, but realities is our buildings are aging, and what we used to call our new buildings are now 9 and 10 years old. So things are starting to fail in the new buildings, where we get concerned that something's failed in the new building, and Pete Murphy says that's the expected lifetime. It's 9-10 years. Significant parts of these buildings have 9 and 10 year life expectancy, unbelievably. We're talking mostly about HVAC systems. So we're talking about things that can cost $5,000 and $10,000 to replace that are wearing out in the normal course of operation. So we had a certain number of buildings. Then in 2013-14, we added to our number of buildings. But what we added was brand new. So those things didn't take a lot of maintenance. So even though you might have gone from 9 to 12 or 13 buildings, there wasn't a lot of maintenance or extra expense with those new buildings once you paid for them, once you built them. But now we're going to get a population of 12 buildings that all need some amount of maintenance because there are not new buildings anymore. So while we made an investment in the school that made a lot of sense, and we've increased our population, which is most important, that we're meeting a need out there of people who want an agricultural education, and we're able to meet more of their needs. That's something we should all be proud of. The truth is now there's a bigger base of buildings and capital to support, right? So it's a more expensive place to maintain now that the animal science building and the horse barn and the ag mech building are all 9 and 10 years old, right? They were built in 13 and 14. So they're now added on to the things that need to be maintained. So that's just the reality. We've increased every year since I've been here the maintenance cost of those buildings from $150,000 to now it's $225 is the budget next year, maintaining those buildings. Of course, the cost of certain materials and the cost of labor is going up too, but actually the volume of buildings that we have to maintain is continuing to increase. On the supply side, it's less of a problem, but the reality also is that while we were in deficit mode, so there were 6 years that we were in a period where we were using our surplus rather than generating new surplus. Our surplus actually went down from $3.5 million to a few $100,000 over a 6-year period. During that time, we were not making investments in things that didn't need to be done, which is pretty typical when you're in a negative situation. You're not looking for things that could be done next year or the year after. You're putting it all off. So we're now, particularly in the farm area, trying to spend money to bring the farm physical plant a little bit more up to date, because there was a long period of time where it had been, I would say, neglected, where the minimum amount of work had been done, the minimum amount of money had been spent as a way to deal with the fact that there wasn't a surplus, there was actually a deficit. So now, for instance, in the farm, we're developing a paddock system where we'll have 10 paddocks with proper fencing, where the cows and the sheep will be moved from paddock to paddock. And this is traditionally the appropriate way to raise cattle. And the consequence of it will be that we'll be buying less grain. So we'll be doing something that will have a payoff. We will not be supplementing their food as much. We'll be moving them. They spend 2-3 days in one paddock, then they move to the next paddock, and they move to the next paddock, and the grass grows while they're gone. And by the time they come around again, they can go back into that paddock. So we have the room for that, but we have not been maintaining the fences, and we don't have the water that's necessary to have these paddocks. So our new farm manager comes in with a lot of new ideas and a plan, and we have the budget put in place that we're going to build all of those paddocks. In this year's budget, we're going to build all of those paddocks and start to get the benefit out of less indoors with the cows, less grain that we have to buy from the cows. We're going to let them out into the field where they can feed for themselves, where they're frankly happiest. He tells me that when he comes in the morning, cows can move in and out of, on most days when it's not horribly cold, the cows can move in and out of the barn on their own. He said every morning he comes, he finds the cows out in the field. They don't want to be in the barn. They want to be out in the field. And even when there's snow on the ground, they're out there out in the field.
Yeah.
That's what they prefer, unless
I
they're
want
not
some
well. So I think we're going to get to a place where we're treating our animals better than we've more recently been treating animals. We've already made changes with the pigs. You guys might know the pigs have been moved outside other than in the coldest months. We created an outside area for the pigs. So instead of living on concrete inside, they now live outside in the fields, except for 2 or 3 months a year. We've bought huts for them. It's quite there's been room for improvement in how we treated our animals, and we're headed in that direction. Lastly, from the summary is that there is a reserve that results from all of this, and that reserve contribution is a little bit more than $500,000. As a comparison, the reserve last year was $315,000. The reserve in the budget last year was $315,000.
Come again, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The reserve this year will be 500?
The budgeted reserve for next year is
For next year,
500,000.
sorry, yeah.
This year was
Okay.
315. The year we're in is the budget was 315.
And like you explained at the trustee meeting, that reserve goes to the county. We put it in the books, right? That's on our, we have a line item or something like that. That says county agricultural schools.
Yeah, the school has 2 reserve lines, one for capital, one for operating, that if we generate a reserve and it's not designated otherwise by the school trustees, will go into the operating reserve account. And that's the thing that had been used up and used down to a couple $100,000 and now has begun to grow. At the end of 2023, that reserve was back up to almost $1.4 million.
So if the trustees vote to designate some of that money otherwise,
Yeah.
it doesn't go into the general fund of the county.
No, it never goes into the general fund of the county. It always goes into the operating fund that's saved. Oh, the only thing that our school trustees need to decide is whether they want to put some of the capital, take some of that and divide it into.
So wouldn't that be the recommendation, where we need to make some capital?
Could be. We can discuss that anytime we want to. Even existing funds could be moved from one pile to another pile.
Okay.
But as we generate surpluses, then we can decide if
Okay.
let's send this surplus into
Just trying to
capital. But
understand
the default is it will remain the
Yeah.
schools.
Okay.
It will remain in one of the school's funds. So
Okay.
you don't have to decide that.
All right.
School trustees. Don't have to
Thank
decide
you for that. Thank you.
All right. I'm just gonna go forward. All right, Joe?
Sure.
Somebody. All right. So if anybody would like to look at individual numbers, there's a whole pile of individual numbers here, starting with just a summary that shows, if you look at the first page of what John and I put together, it shows how we arrived at the $525,000 of surplus, right, for next year. You'll see our revenue and our expense. Probably the most interesting page for you guys, I'm guessing, would be the second page, which shows our 25 expectations versus our 24 expectations.
Where are you, John?
I'm in the second page here. It's 25 versus 24. To be the second page of the financial. It's right where Peter's got it right there.
Okay, good.
So that one you guys might find the most interesting, because obviously you approved of the 24 plan. And so one of the reasonable questions is, well, how does this differ from the 24 plan? And there we've put together why the revenue is up. You see the revenue is up about 7%.
Okay.
You'll see expenses, if you go all the way down towards the bottom, are up about 5.5%.
Right.
And therefore the contribution is up by a couple $100,000. Right? That's our expected contribution to be up a couple $100,000. You see that, Richard, that $250,000?
I'll look over that. Now. I see revenue 1.1, salary and expenses by 900. Oh yeah, okay, I got it. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Next page, you should be familiar with school trustees. It just shows the tuition rates going forward. And as I said, there was a decent increase in the out of county rate. It's now $27,905. You might see that in the lower left in bold. The total out of county rate is now $27,905 to send a student to the Aggie. And in county is $4,500, which is just above. Right, but you guys should be familiar with those numbers since they came directly from our school
Right.
trustees meeting.
Gotcha.
Tuition letters are going out in the US mail today.
Oh, good. That's good.
I'm happy
Did
to.
you,
That's
you
good.
also email the towns with that?
We do when we know we have a valid email address.
You might want to reach out to the towns and make sure you do. It's just that, so I had a letter, that came to my office. I actually came to my house. It was a month late. They sent it on time. It took a whole month for the US mail to hit it.
Wow.
So, that's why, and I know that it's timely because you had told me that they really want this. as early as they
They're
can.
eager to get it.
So I would send it get a good email address for each one of them, send it by email and do the regular mail too.
Yeah, we got another new employee who's John's executive administrative assistant, and she is eager to switch over to an email or at least have an email option. So she I don't know if where she ended up, John, with including that in the letter saying, if you'd like to receive this by email going forward, please supply us with the email address. And so she wants to do this for her own sake, but also to get the word out there faster.
One of the assumptions we've made is if town hall gets a letter, somebody's gonna open it. Whereas an email could go to somebody's spam. If we have an incorrect address, nobody gets it, but we do want to turn over completely to an electronic system.
Yeah, and that's why it might be nice to call it, hey, I just want to confirm that this email is going to the right person. We're going to send this out tomorrow. Just want to make sure that it's all correct and people like that.
Yeah,
They want
because
they want the verbal alert.
Yeah, because you got 28 cities and towns, but then the outer county too, right?
It's another 50.
So what's your total altogether?
Around 80.
About 80.
Wow.
That's a lot, not just
I was
28.
thinking just in county, but out of
No,
county is
that's
big.
a lot.
Yeah, it's a
And
lot.
we send
So-
4 copies of, we
Yeah.
send the letter typically to 4 different people within each town.
Okay.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Superintendent,
That's a lot.
business
Yeah.
manager.
If you
Yeah.
can, even if you did a little follow-up on each one, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
Yeah.
a
But
that's
that's long,
the path we're
28.
going down. We're
You got
going down
80,
that path. Trying
getting up to 100 pretty soon, you know.
We
So,
haven't lost one yet.
So, I know you have the robocalls for us, for different things that come up. It'd be almost nice to have a robocall to go to all of those towns.
Ah.
Just say, hey, this is an automated call just to tell you the county numbers are coming out tomorrow. Something like that. That way you don't have to
Yeah.
call everybody.
Yeah,
Not bad, yeah.
yeah. We're gonna work on doing that better.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting it out. Okay, next 2 pages are the salaries of individual teachers and our open positions. We've had one retirement of a teacher. You can see that on the first page. It's towards the top. It says open MC. That's a special education teacher who has retired from the school.
And you're gonna fill that, right?
You were gonna fill that, yes, 1 for
So you
1.
carry it in there, okay.
Yes, and she's in there. And then we have the additional history teacher, which is the bottom of that page.
So like, I'm sorry, John, that,
Yeah.
if I can, understand, the open history is the one you're proposing as a new position.
Correct.
Okay.
And up top, you'll see a replacement that says open MC.
Okay.
That's Maria Kuchera, who was retiring this year. We only have 1 retiring teacher this year. After that, you'll get into the non-union employees. There's 2 pages also of non-union employees, in which case you'll see the 2 open half positions. And other than that, we just recently, in the last week, have hired two more cafeteria employees, and we hired a replacement for our 4-person in our animal science program. So we've got 3 brand new employees. Just this morning, they were in signing their letters with John.
Yep.
So I fine tuned this just a tiny bit from what previously I had, and I went to Phil in Tosca, and I updated everything in the system, in the Infinite Vision system. So what you guys have should be what this is here, even though these changes are quite recent. I just did it a day or 2 ago. I just updated Infinite Visions a day or 2 ago for the employees. Then I don't need to go through this, but then you'll have every line, every one of our expense lines is included in this file here. So the next about 7 pages is every single line, including our revenues, but revenues probably less interesting, but every expense line here shows what it's been in FY 22 actual, FY 23 actual, FY 24, the requested or budgeted amount, and then the budgeted amount for this year. Budgeted amount for FY 25. So you have all the detail of any line that you would be interested in seeing and asking a question about an individual line. If you'd like to say, why did this go up so much, or why did this go down so much? Be glad to discuss. And then the last page is a list, a preliminary list of capital needs that we have as a school, although we don't have a capital budget per se, and we're told we may not get a capital budget this year. That's an amount of money that we usually get from the county. The county gives us a capital budget. We don't generate that ourselves. So we've started to compile our list. These are more physical things that we would like to buy, almost all cases replacements of things that we already have that are wearing out. Like I said, there's a tremendous capital responsibility that goes along with owning the school and all of our buildings and all of our lands that we maintain and all of our animals that we maintain. There's a tremendous, it looks like this picture. There's a tremendous obligation that goes along with that. And, these are an example of some of the things that we would like to replace with new vehicles. In some cases, we're talking about vehicles that are 10 years old, 12 years old. I guess this truck is 17 years old that we're looking to replace. But this is just a list. This is not, we don't have a capital amount from the county. Normally the county gives us a capital amount and we decide internally what we want to spend that on, and we share it with the school trustees. And then eventually you guys see that list of capital from the school, and the advisory board signs off on the capital from the school. But right now we're just developing our list. We don't have any dollar amounts from the county to squeeze into, to fit into. So those are my documents, or our documents. Would anybody have any specific
Commissions,
questions?
any questions?
You go first.
Well, first,
Comments?
nice job. Good presentation. Thank you again for doing that. Work backwards a little bit. One of my concerns, and we keep hearing it, both as trustees and commissioners, is about the state of our buildings. So if you haven't already, I'd like to ask, maybe the board will agree, maybe we should put together a priority list of the buildings, working with Pete, in terms of like, what's the worst, what's the second worst, so we can start attacking it a little bit. I know we can't bond. We know that. We discussed that at the last board meeting. Unfortunately, we can't bond until 2030. I think it is, something like that. It came out,
About that.
not for a few years. So we can't bond yet, but maybe with this reserve money that we have, there might be something to look at in conjunction with the strategic plan and the rest of the trustees. But my thought would be, get a list together so we can say, hey, you know what? This is like number one, this is number two. Because it's funny, you're talking about we're talking about like the McFarland building in Kemp Hall. Those are new. Are those newer buildings, or is Kemp Hall new?
No, Kemp Hall is not a new
that
building, but
what are the new buildings?
half of McFarland is new.
McFarland,
Yeah,
okay.
McFarland was added
Yeah.
to it.
That's a good way
I'm
of
gonna
saying
follow up
capital.
that, I call to you. But I think I want to get a good handle on the buildings. I think that's really a
Okay.
big push.
Okay.
But maybe getting a list of, the list in terms of best to worst. So we can start tackling it.
Yep.
And then, we do a little over here, just a little bit. And then these items, this would be, again, I would think, we don't know yet. We haven't decided yet on capital, right, as a commission. But again, maybe get a priority list. Where are they in terms of your own needs? What do you think is number one, number two? That would help us, a little bit. So that's a
Right.
suggestion.
Yeah, we could rank these for
Yeah.
our own purposes or for your purposes too.
My question, just a general question, maybe
Yes.
for John Martin. What constitutes a technically a step raise? Is that defined by contract or by law or tradition?
Step raise is a year's worth of
Isn't it a
service.
year's worth?
Yeah.
So I noticed there's some employees that might be getting a step raise, but they haven't been there for a year. So shouldn't that salary proposed be adjusted, or something we can talk about?
I'd have to look at the individual.
Yeah, you might want to take, there's some
Everyone's step raise takes place on the anniversary of their hire date.
on the anniversary.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying is that, so say let's say a person gets hired
Mid-year.
mid-year. So the step raise for the budget should only be half of that, shouldn't it be? Not a full amount?
Yeah, to be conservative, I just show what they're going to make at their highest rate next year, but
Or
that
the
might
highest
not
rate.
take, but that change might not take place until the middle of the year.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
All
Yeah,
right,
for
that
instance,
clarifies
John's
that.
executive assistant is in there for next year's
Is that
salary. but
appropriate to ask?
That doesn't,
Yeah.
but that doesn't really take place
Haven't
until
you, have you
next
ever looked at the
January.
grid?
Yeah,
We talked at one time about, trying to work with it, but we never did anything.
no, that's what, I mean, it's just that not to be personal, I want
No,
to
I
make it
know.
personal. But I did think the step raise I always felt was like on a full year.
It is, it
or
is.
something like
It
that.
is. Now,
Okay.
for,
you're
it's
projecting that.
95% of the teachers, it's the beginning of the school year.
No, no,
So
okay.
it's more for administrators that
Right,
that are
that's
necessarily
okay.
hired at the beginning of the
Okay.
school year.
I thought, I might be wrong, John, I'm gonna throw this back at you. I thought the step raise kicked in when is it on the date of hire?
Anniversary date.
It's always the anniversary date. Okay.
So you budgeted the full amount, but you understand that may not be funded then, which will end up being a surplus, right?
Correct. But there
Okay.
aren't a lot of people in that category. There really are not as many. There are almost no teachers in that category. So you take half the population and
Yeah, I was looking at
most of the
non-union.
money
I was
and
looking
take
at
that.
non-union.
Yeah, but you're right. There are a few non-union people, right, who would get a raise a little bit later.
Okay,
But once you, Richard, if you were hired, let's say in February, and you
Right.
were getting your raise every February,
Right.
if you then took a new job or your job was reclassified, that change would take place on July 1st, and then you'd be on July 1st for the rest of your career. So
Okay.
you only need a job change in the middle there to get on the July 1st. So even if one of our colleagues like Alice, who was hired years and years ago, she's switched jobs a couple times, so she's gotten herself on July 1st.
okay.
So she's on the July 1st rate. She's not on her anniversary date.
All right, now I'm not trying to throw a curve either, because I could be wrong. It's happened before. I thought there was a discussion at the last board meeting about the need to hire another person for something. But maybe I didn't realize it was history. Maybe it was like, when you gave your report,
Hmm.
I thought there was somebody else we needed too. Wasn't, yes, excuse me, forgive me, Robin in her principal's report. So we're doing a new track of bio and chemistry.
Oh,
Remember that we're having
Yeah,
bio and chemistry?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Isn't there a need for another
No,
science teacher?
no,
No.
she's covering that.
We're covering that within, okay, all right.
Yeah, we
good.
hired a science teacher
Oh,
last
okay.
year, so
Okay.
the history teacher this year will be even across all of
Oh,
the
okay.
disciplines.
So we don't need another science teacher?
No.
No.
Okay, all right.
No.
All right. Peter?
Yeah, so
Thank you.
I ran this with John before when we had the finance meeting, and then we talked about it at the last meeting. So the rest of the county, unions and non-unions, excluding the school, is getting by contract 2.25% this next year. And in years past, I know that the teachers and the non-unions of the teachers would be pretty much the same. So the contracted teachers, whatever the contract was, for the most part, we always had the non-unions getting basically the same amount. But I'm repeating this again. So this particular contract with the teachers is different because the teachers work 20% more because they took on an extra class. Everyone knew that. And the idea was that the teachers would get a raise over 3 years that would compensate for them for that. And it was never intended that the non-unions would get the same rate as the teachers because the non-unions weren't working 20% more. Now, last year when this came up, you guys got creative and you said that you wanted to give the non-unions 2.5%, which was what the unions got. And you wanted to be creative, but I'm sorry, let me say it again. I think it was 3.5% the teachers got. And you wanted to give the non-unions 3.5%. And so what happened was you came back and said, okay, several individuals who are administration are going to take less, or maybe nothing, like yourself. You always take nothing, which is incredible.
They all took nothing.
But you took nothing to give these other people more. In the end, and the net result was it would be the same as the teachers got because you guys took less, right? And I said I didn't like it because it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to the people who gave up the money, but it really isn't fair to the other people in the county because the other people in the county aren't getting that same rate. All right. And what you're proposing here, you did it again. This time, all the non-unions are getting 3.25%, which is the same as what the teachers got. Not the same. You're trying to say, you're trying to paint that this is the same. Oh, the teachers always get this and the non-unions always get that. It's not the same. And so, what I'm gonna suggest to you is that you have two budgets when you come up for the trustees vote. And one budget will be 3.25%, like you proposed, and one budget will have 2.25%. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm voting no on a 3.25%. I'm gonna do it. Because it's not fair. It's not fair to every other union person. It's not fair to every other non-union person in the county. It just isn't. And these people that you're talking about at the Aggie, we love them. They're good people. They deserve something, but they deserve the same as what every other county employees are getting. And one thing you have to remember, the people at the Aggie school are county employees. Granted, you guys have a great place and we give you a lot of freedom to do different things there, but they're still county employees. And they're not working an extra 20%, so they're not entitled to that extra dough. And I may be outvoted as a trustee, that's fine. But just so that there isn't a big issue about this, I would just respectfully ask that you have two budgets, one with a 2.25%.
Yes,
So-
I may add, thank you, Peter. Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
we have permission, if I may. I think all collectively we're surprised to see 3.25 for the COLA. And I think I understand some of that, but I thought at the last year budget discussion, or we had a discussion about this that went back and forth. It was good. It was very collegial. It was very productive. And we went back and forth on what the rate would be. But I thought the clear message was, at least from the commissioners, was that we want to make sure that going forward, the non-union are going to be in line with the raise the other county employees got across the board, which is what, 2.25?
2.25 this year.
Yeah, I think that was the message I thought we had. So I thought I was kind of surprised to revisit that again, because I think like what Peter has said is, he said it pretty clear. I think we want to be consistent for our county employees and our non-union people across the board. So I would echo what Peter says. If you're going to stay with that, present two budgets then for the board, or revisit that. Take a second look. I welcome. It's the time to talk about it, if you want, or at the trustee meeting. And there could be a different, sentiment, not to predict the future, but we have 7 trustees now, which is good. But I mean, again, we've made it kind of clear too, is that, there's a trustee job and a commissioner job. So you should respect that. And I think you do. I think you do. So I don't think it's being disrespectful. I didn't interpret it that way. But I think that, the argument for that COLA was clear, kind of made last year, I think, gentlemen. So take a look. Okay, if you would, please.
We can do that.
Mr.
Real
Chairman.
nice presentation.
Otherwise, great job. Really very
I
clear.
have two quick questions,
done.
both minor, but we talked about
Carl Meyer.
the new PA system. Is that, we bid that last week.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah.
We
Yes,
haven't awarded it yet.
have not, no. That's in progress. That was budgeted in this year's capital.
Okay.
So we're trying to be
So it
able to pay
appears,
for
I
it.
assume we're gonna hire this.
We have two
Mhm.
bids, we have 3 bids, 2 of which are under the money that we had set aside, so it looks pretty
These
good that
people
we
look
would be able
qualified.
to.
Do you make
Well,
it?
we,
You work with
no,
Nancy and,
we're working with Nancy.
Okay.
We're still trying to evaluate the 2 bids. There's a decent amount of difference between the bids, so we want to understand them well before we pick somebody.
okay.
But that should be
That's been going on for a
handled
while though, right?
under FY
Well,
24.
we just bid it. It just was.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Well, we just opened the bids like
Right,
2
it was
weeks
bid in
ago.
December, I think, and opened in
Okay.
January.
Yeah, they
Okay.
were open and
January
we took it
31st, I
under
think it was
consideration.
January
But we
31st.
want to go forward with that, right?
Yes, we do. That's
need-
still our product. That's still our plan, yes.
I hate to add things to the budget, John will have a fit, but we talked a little bit about campus lighting. I did a little looking into it. The vendor, which is Eversource, doesn't make record, doesn't do the survey anymore, but there's several companies in Norfolk County. And they told me they'd give me a list of that do it. I think it's an important issue. I notice you're carrying it here with nothing next to it. Is that because we just haven't reached out to it yet, or
That's correct.
not highest
Yes.
on the priority? But I don't want
It's on the list, but we haven't done any real homework on it yet.
to, okay.
Yeah, I wanted to say one more thing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take money away from people, but I think the money that you're proposing for the non-unions is excessive based upon history. And I'm hoping that money can be poured right back into the school to fix up these other things. And that's why we're looking at every year we look at the tuition raises and that was a big component of that. that you have more money to fix things up. So I'm not trying to take any money away from the school. I'm just trying to help you to redirect it into other needs.
That dollar figure adds up to about $38,000,
Yeah.
$38,000.
which in my opinion belongs in the pockets of the employees. It's not,
I disagree.
I know you do.
Yeah, one piece of information to share is that my personal experience with other business managers who are vocational school business managers, when we meet 3-4 times a year, I brought this subject up and I said to the team, and a group was maybe 8 or 9 people. I said, well, which of you guys, matches your administrative raises with your teachers' raises? Every hand went up, every single person. Every single.
But
let me
they have
finish.
a special contract.
But just let me finish,
Yeah.
please. So I'm saying that that's both a tradition of our school and it's also consistently practiced by every other vocational school that happened to be there. I don't know, Peter, the details about the teachers' contracts in every one of those schools, nor do you. But I'm just telling you that the practice that all of those schools, and it was not with qualification that they raised their hands. This year we do it. Oh, we did it the last 3 years. That's the way our school works. The administrators get the same raise as the teachers.
I'll say this politely, and I'm being polite, respectively. As a former selectman and even as a moderator, you see town meeting, and you see
Sure.
the police get 4, firemen get 4, teachers get 4. I get that. I really do. And normally that's the way I'm sure the county does business. But again, I mean, I was on the teacher contract negotiation, and the exception was made because of the situation was the teachers were being asked to do more. They were asked to pick up an extra class because of the situation. And so because of that, the bar was raised a little bit. And I think you have to look at that when you look at everybody else. And so I think that again, with all due respect, we kind of fought that battle last year politely, and we said, okay, we compromised. But going forward, we wanted to get everybody in line with the rest of the county. And I understand your sentiment. I do. I respect that, but I disagree going forward. I think the number has to be in line with the county. I'm just saying, but we can take a look.
Can I just ask one question?
I think the teachers were given more, justly so, because there was more work to be done, and it was only fair, and that was hashed out.
I think we understand each other.
Right.
But let me ask you this question. I see going forward the negotiations with the teachers union and the school being controlled by the school and decisions being made by the school and the school board,
Mhm.
right? Always probably going to be separate from what happens at the county, who has their own unions and their own negotiations, and those decisions are not made by the school board or school employees. So the opportunity for every year in the future that this happens is that there will be a difference between the teachers' raises, right? Because they're negotiated by one group of people, and the county's raises because they're negotiated by a different group of people. In both cases, I would argue the correct people are doing the job that should be doing it. But the opportunity for that, for a difference exists every time these contracts gets renegotiated. So
Correct.
this difference is not a one-time thing for us to solve. This will potentially always exist, right? Every time we negotiate both those contracts, there's a chance that the teachers' percentage raises are going to be different than the engineers or whomever's percentage raises, assuming those are all coordinated with each other. And so there's one number. Let's pretend there's one county number, and it could be whatever it is. And then there's going to be one teacher number. It could be whatever it is. So this difference is not a one-time difference. This is a potential theoretical difference that's going to exist every time we renegotiate those contracts.
Theoretically, you're
So
right.
is this what you
Point
guys are?
I mean, point
So
taken.
if we stick with this concept of fairness and equity, who's going to decide then next time we renegotiate contracts whether the fair thing to do is to give our administrators the teachers' raises or to give our administrators raises of a different contract that is outside of the school, but a county contract, but outside of the school.
It's a good point.
That'll be addressed next year.
Yeah.
This,
But I know, but I want you
Yeah.
guys to
That's a
think
good
about
point.
that
No, it's a
because
good point.
this principle that you have here is
It could have
going
been,
to potentially come into play
Right.
as early as next year.
next year contract, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
good points.
Yeah,
They're good points.
And,
Yeah.
and the numbers always didn't
Right.
math out. The teacher's contract was always not at the same time because it started like
They
in
sometimes are,
September,
yeah.
and there were different things, and people wanted like maintenance might want work boots or something. There were different things in every contract, and every union has their own thing.
Well, teacher contracts up when, Sean? When's that up?
This is our third year, next
This
year.
is, in 25? In 25?
After July.
Right.
We'll negotiate it in 25. It'll take place in
Okay.
FY 26. Yeah, the first
Well,
year will be FY 26.
Hopefully, Mr. Shea and I will be sitting here. Well, right.
You mean at the teachers' negotiations?
No, I meant just in terms of talking about contracts.
We'll
Yeah,
be having preliminary conversations this time next year.
Yeah, okay.
right.
All right, we'll cross that bridge. But I do receive your point. I know what you're saying. And learning curve for a lot of people here. Okay, a lot of things we saw and we've taken note of. So yeah, I'll just say anymore might not be appropriate. So, but really, good point. Point taken.
It's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take a motion to take the 25 budget, fiscal year 25 budget for the school under advisement.
Wait, before we, I'll
I'm
take
not
it.
through-
I'll
okay,
make
go
that
ahead.
motion. With question,
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah.
Take this budget under advisement.
A second.
Yeah. Do you have any questions of us? Okay.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
okay. Thunder, it's in the middle. It's in the,
So good job. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
right?
Yep.
Thank
Hey,
you.
guys.
John, I'll talk to you very soon. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
okay, next is
Did you get something from Josh?
Superintendent
John,
Minor from the Wallaston Recreation Facility. It's
Carl.
down a few more
Hey, how
pages
are you?
I'm good. How are
you?
Good to see you.
in your book.
What tab are we on here?
We're on tab G. Wait a minute. Bill's got it under 6. Right behind 6.
Where's your partner? No? Didn't come? By yourself?
All by myself.
Oh, man. They have nothing in it. Hold on.
They had
Okay.
nothing in it.
I got nothing.
That's it. It's in our,
Uh-oh.
it's in our.
Wait a minute, wait.
Number
You
6?
send me a note or-
I have nothing.
I'm flexible.
Okay. You see these tabs after 9,
Sorry,
you'll see.
sorry.
So it's after 9, before 10. It's between 9 and 10. Dated
Oh, okay.
February 11th from Carl.
9 and 10.
There it is.
Mine is
Oh,
after 10. Mine's after 10.
oh,
That's okay.
He put
That's all right.
9
I found
after 9.
I found
Okay.
it. We're good. We're good. All right.
All right.
Very good.
Carl, you can. Where you want.
Thank you very much. The FY golf income estimate reflects a 5% increase on daily fee golf rates, an average increase of 10% for the season subscriptions. And that is on your last page. Okay.
Okay. This is the last page.
Right as-
Um, Oh, you don't have the same printout as you did last year? Huh? Okay.
I have your letter and I have capital plan.
Um,
Okay, do we start with your letter? Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Code 5110 temporary salaries has been increased by $15,000. I think we're gonna have a shortfall this year. So we may be asking money from the supplemental to carry us through until July.
How much you?
15,000.
How'd the course hold up over the winter?
Just great. It's real good.
Beautiful.
Code 5299 miscellaneous contractual services has been increased by 3,500 for the playground shade removal and installation. It never did get removed this year. The company that put it in was supposed to come and take it down. And we looked in renting a lift, and that's, I think, 1,500 a day. But you also have to be trained on that. We don't have anybody that can operate that. Let's see. Code 5381, fertilizer and seed has been increased by $4,000 to supplement our sand top dressing program for the greens and buy divot mix. Code 5463, rental of equipment has been increased by $1,008.17. 2 ferry motors will come off the lease in FY 2024 for $25,017.16. And fiscal year 2025 will add a Ventrac rough mower, a Groundsmaster 3500D mower, and a ProForce blower for $26,025.33. So the rental equipment's only going up about $1,000. Unnecessary capital need for FY 2025 is a fire suppression system for the kitchen in the restaurant, and that's estimated at $8,250. And that has to be done by next fall so that it can get inspected. Any questions?
Mm-hmm.
I think Richard has a couple questions.
Am I allowed to ask questions?
Absolutely. Go ahead,
Thank you.
Richard. I was just catching up. Go ahead.
Okay, so your revenue, I did see that. You're projecting an increase of $100,000, about roughly,
Roughly.
right? And how much is the expense going up? I couldn't
The expense for,
to operate the golf course. Get all these things here.
with all those, let's see,
Isn't it? We breaking even?
2,000, oh yeah, we'll be breaking even, sir.
Okay. I'm trying to find out where it's probably right in front of me. The actual, I got, these are all salaries.
Okay,
And is there a final page that just says, income?
Phil sent me this, and so he's got what I had when I came for you. You have
Okay.
what?
But you're breaking even?
Yeah.
It's okay. Oh, I see, that's what I was looking for. Okay, there we go. Okay. Actually, it's more than that. They're requesting 1.3, right, for the budget?
Mhm.
And you're projecting 1.6.
Yeah.
So we're, all right. Okay. Okay. What's the playground cover removal?
The sunshade.
There was actually one there?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And you get rid of it? Because,
No,
No, they're
just
gonna take it down for the winter.
right.
oh, okay, okay.
Mhm.
I was like, why would you want to take that down?
Okay,
Okay.
it takes a beating.
All right.
It could.
So they did not take it down.
They did not take it down.
That's a problem.
What? The new,
The installer said, a lot of, committees just leave them up. I'm not sure what the cost is of a new one, whether it'd be better to, leave it up and just buy a new one after 5 years. But,
The plan
I can
was
look at
to
that.
train staff at the golf course on how to remove it, how to store it properly so that the mice don't eat it.
Right.
And then reinstall it. You do need a lift to get up to the height to snap it on, but that was the plan. Sounds like the
Mhm.
vendor hasn't fulfilled their obligation.
Whom?
Sounds like the vendor
Oh,
has not
yeah, well,
fulfilled the obligation to remove it and train.
he did train us how to, take it down, but we looked in renting the lift, but you need a training on the lift, and we don't have anybody trained to use the lift.
Is that something that our employees elsewhere in the county can maybe help out with?
We couldn't use the ladder, we can't use the ladder, I mean, all the OSHA rules and all that.
right. Do we own the lift?
No, we don't.
So you'd rent one of
We
those
rent
lifts?
one, I think it's about 1,500 a day.
We don't have a lift at the Aggie School?
I'd have to ask, but I don't know. But I mean, you just can't have anyone go up on the lift though,
Yeah,
if you're
that's
not
right,
trained
yeah.
or anything. I
Yeah.
mean, I would think if we were gonna do it and the lift we don't have a lift, you'd want the people that own the lift to do the whole thing,
Mm.
not operate it. I mean,
Probably simpler, I would think. Right?
Well,
I mean, easy reliability. And,
I think the liability is
yeah. What happens like once a year? You take the
Yeah,
thing down.
but
for the
once
winter,
and then put it back
and
up.
then
It's
put it
twice.
back up.
Right.
So you need two people, twice a year, you need people.
Right.
Of the company.
Mhm.
All right, yeah.
Go ahead.
Irrigation, that's the big project, right? That's the big.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did, email John some numbers this morning.
Mhm.
I can go over them if you want. Do you have them
So
here?
you're starting with you like this, would you like us to consider hiring that someone, this over here
Yes,
for, this is fiscal, yeah,
that's for 26.
26, but
And that would be about $15,000. The new irrigation system would be $2,075,000. The pump station is 200,000 to 400,000. The courts, reconstruction of the 10 courts is probably somewhere around 750,000. Repair for 10 courts is probably 250,000. But the repair lasts maybe 4 to 6 years. Full reconstruction is probably 18 to 20.
It looked really good. How long has it been since we did that?
I think we did them last in I think
You know better because you're walking on it, but I'm driving by, you know,
Yeah,
I'm like,
no,
oh, they
they-
look
no,
good,
they-
people are playing, yeah.
they still look great. Drawing blank on that.
I know that we did it over time, like we
Yes.
did these
Yeah.
two courses, these two
Mhm.
courses, yeah.
What's the cost? Oh, I'm sorry. What's the cost for repair versus reconstruction? I'm sorry.
Repair for 10 courts, 250,000
For 10.
for the 10 courts, all 10 of them.
Okay.
And reconstruction for all 10 would be 750,000.
But what if we did, like I said, fiscal 26 courts 1 to 4?
Right, yes.
What would
Yes.
He staggers them anyway, right?
Yes, yeah, so,
But that wouldn't be 250. That would be like 1/3 of that.
yeah, it would be 300,000, 1 through 4, 300,000, 5 through 8, and courts 9 and 10 would be 150,000
Wow.
for full reconstruction.
I see.
And that small item down at golf course,
No, I meant repair. Say we just
Yeah.
said repair.
just repair.
So if the repair is $250,000 for all 10,
Yeah,
if we did say repair courts 1 to 4, what would that price just be? Could be like, say, 1/3,
yeah,
like say 100 or
Yeah.
under 100?
Yeah.
Now, I understand repair lasts 4 years. And
Yeah.
reconstruction gives you 20, okay. And you need a fire suppression system, right? That's a must, right?
That is a
For
must.
safety.
a new alarm system for the clubhouse. Replacing carpeting, it still looks pretty good. New awning for outside the restaurant and frame repair or a whole new frame, 25,000. Carp barn roof, 25,000. Termite control is about 3,500. And for overhead doors for the carp barn is probably around 10,000.
What's this dump truck with plow, sander?
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Um,
You're closing the winter, so why
that-
need it?
Yeah, truck with plow, sander, tool package, and dual rear wheels would be about 75,000. Although we did all the work on the fuel tank, it will have to be replaced. I would say about 5 years, but we don't know what we'll need in 5 years. We could be running the carts with, electric. They could be electric carts, so
Right,
I can't really put a price on that.
right.
And Paul, we're putting money into the cedar fence. This year, it really needs to be replaced, and I have 30,000 down for that. And again, John has all this. I just emailed it this morning.
What's the car bond cost? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What was that for that?
The
Sorry.
roof, 25,000.
Yep.
I just went on the internet and just kind of ballpark price. Termite control, 3,500, and we have 4 overhead doors. I figured 10,000 for those.
Yeah, a lot. Wow.
Commissioner will update all the binders with the updated info that Carl just
Okay,
mentioned.
thank
this
you.
morning.
So again, I would say politely, maybe we need a priority list from you.
Right, well, I
Yeah.
think
I mean,
this
that's
is
a
almost
lot.
it. You
That's-
notice some of these dates are put out a year or two, which
Yeah.
is
Right,
important because you
right.
couldn't possibly do it all.
And I agree, that's good. So
Right.
that way we got a, but I'm saying, for example, even on a tennis court, you know better than me, I would think, better than us. What would be, so if you're gonna do, say, courts 1 to 4, I'm guessing they're the worst ones. They need the most repair.
Yeah.
Or that just you
Right.
struck them, so that they need to be
Mhm.
done. Then you got 5 to 8, and you got, so on. So, are any of those pickleball courts?
Yes, we have.
What?
I asked you about that.
Two or one?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we gotta take care of that. It's a big
Yes.
popular thing. We gotta take care of pickleball. All right, so we gotta figure out what we're gonna do here. But you do have a little surplus too. I mean, you're showing a surplus.
Yes.
So we can tackle some.
How much is the surplus?
For
Refresh.
300,000? So we're
No.
projecting,
Projected.
I think, from, reading that right?
I think so.
Your revenues, your projecting revenue of 1.66 and
Mhm.
your expenses around 1.3?
Yeah.
Around there, so, um, but that goes pretty quick. I mean, if you put the 300,000 towards tennis courts, you still gotta do the fire station. You need to do all those things there. So what, actually, are those, is that list, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Kyle, but is that list, like this list here?
Mhm.
All these things here. Do you know what that number is, John? Or what the total?
The
So like
total,
the letter you wrote to us,
yes,
like what it adds up to, roughly.
roughly.
You got temporary salaries and, well, maybe salaries already in the budget. For the things that are
An
not,
extra 15 for the temporary salaries.
okay.
15,
No, but you built that into your budget.
yes.
So I'm
I'd say
saying,
probably around 30,000 extra
so 30, I suppose. So you got some money there.
into the budget, yeah.
Right, okay. Okay. So, got some things we can work on.
Certainly
Right.
is.
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to proceed on that?
Excuse me.
How do you want to proceed on something like that? Talk to John, talk to your staff?
Well,
In terms of making a list of tackling some of those
Sure.
things,
um,
If I could, Carl.
Yeah. Sure.
Commissioner, I'd recommend that, rather recommend, I'd remark that the capital plan that was submitted does have a baked-in prioritization. Carl's advancing by year projected capital item that he would like to source funding for.
okay.
So for FY 25, it's relatively modest. It includes the fire suppression system for the kitchen
Right,
and possibly some golf practice netting. That's it. And then he moves to 26, 27. So he's given us a multi-year capital view.
Right.
And
okay,
that's inherently, I guess,
Yeah.
prioritization.
yeah,
That's how I read it.
okay,
Yes.
thank you.
What was
Again,
the-
I'm not being
No, no.
facetious though, and I'm just trying to say again, you're closed in the winter, am I right? I mean,
Correct.
the golf course is,
Mhm.
not open. So what's the need for a dump truck with a plow and a sander?
Well, we have the
Right.
entire parking lot that we have to plow and
Right.
sand.
But you're not open.
We need it open for the sledders and the people to use the land.
Yeah, people,
Dog walkers.
they'll walk the course or they'll horseshoe, snowshoe on it or
Mhm.
cross-country ski on it or,
Oh,
or the
okay,
kids go sledding there in the
Right.
wintertime.
okay, okay. All right, all right. Good job.
And the occasional April Fool's.
Oh, boy, I was thinking about that. I keep thinking,
He'll be
that's what's gonna
open.
happen.
When do you open,
That's-
Carl?
We are thinking, March 8th, we'll probably do a soft opening.
That's
Really?
early.
Yeah,
That's
Really?
fine.
if we can,
Wow.
weather permitting.
Right, that weather.
Yeah.
Be careful. But it's been crazy, right?
Crazy warm.
I was at the Cape last weekend. The Cape got more snow than up here. We had a lot of snow down there, but keep it there.
Yeah.
Good job, Kyle. Thank you. I moved to take it under advisement?
Sure. So you always do a really nice presentation. Your budget's always tight, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I have it,
Okay,
Kyle. I have
motion
it.
made and seconded to take the fiscal 25 Norfolk Wilson Recreation Facility budget under advisement. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Kyle. Thank you.
We're gonna go to number
See you.
6
Take care.
on our agenda, but without objection, I'd like to have a 5-minute recess, please.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Thank you. We're back on the record for our Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 meeting. We're on item number 6, public comment.
Wow.
Each week
It takes so long to get to public comment.
we reserve a tenant for public comment. if there anyone that out in Zoom land that has any comment, now's the time to make it. And I'll also ask Director Cronin if he has heard from anyone about public comment.
The only one I heard from is our friend Carla Foley, who left a message, still looking to collect support to request the town of Dedham to provide better crossing signalization and safety on High Street. It was a message, I haven't returned her call, but other than that,
Okay.
just passing that along as citizen input regarding county business.
Yeah, and that, I understand from what you said, that's in the hands of the town of Dedham, right?
Yes.
Right.
To do that, not us.
No,
Correct.
Okay, okay,
I think specifically she's talking about
right,
the crosswalk between the registry of deeds and the Superior
right,
Court.
right. But
There are 3 crosswalks that all could use signalization.
Wow. Okay, we'll keep our eye on that. Number 7, old business, I have none. Number 8, personnel matters.
yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Stady.
Yes, sir. I'm going to move the following for appointment. Number 1, these are all at the Norfolk County Agricultural School. Number 1, move approval of notice of contingent employment for Melissa Noe of Franklin as substitute CAF worker at the rate stated effective date 2/22/24. So moved.
Second.
Motion made second, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Notice of contingent employment of Sean Rideout of Westwood as a student worker at the rate stated effective 3/25/24. So moved.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
And the last one, notice of termination of employment for Lisa Watkins of Foxborough as a CAP worker for the rate stated effective date 2/14/24. So moved.
Second.
Motion made seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 4.
At the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds, we need to make approval of the notice of resignation of Noel DeBona of Quincy, Mass. as Director of Administrative Services at the rate stated, effective date 2/7/24. So moved.
Second.
Motion made second, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
That
Number 8,
concludes that.
payroll and expense warrant.
Mr. Chairman, I move the following for approval on the warrant list of 2/21/24. Number 1, there are 4. 24-33, move approval of payroll of the county, the sum of $149,959.64. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Second, 24-3317, parentheses, payroll of the school. I move approval of the sum $372,693.71. So moved.
Second.
Motion made second, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Next.
Third, I move approval for the expense of the school, 24-08A, the sum of $186,415.38. So moved.
Second.
Motion made second, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
And the final one, I move approval for the expense of the county, 02-03-24, the sum $98,175.50. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It is a vote.
That
Next.
concludes that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Number 10, report on the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have no awards this week. We have approximately 7 awards that are at level 1 and 1 very large award for the town of Weymouth at level 2. So things are trending again for another wave, hopefully in the next few weeks. Absent that, there is no activity on the award side. Commissioners, again, just as a reminder, we're expecting all community closeout plans by March 1st. We've begun receiving a couple of inquiries via email from 2 communities asking for additional funds. We will take no action on those requests until we get all of the community requests after 3/1. That is all I have at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next, obviously no warrants, so number 11 is out. Actually, next is 12. Nancy? Oh, Bill.
Wilson's and Nancy.
Will's Nancy today.
Nancy's up sick.
Underground storage tank removal. What do you have to tell us? We opened it up and took it under advisement.
Yeah, and we recommend to reject the can of company bid as they don't lack the experience for underground storage removal.
And they were the low bidder.
Correct.
What do we do now? Do we do it again? Or
Have
do
to
we go to the
rebid it or
next?
you
Go to
going
the
to
next
the next?
lowest bidder and we'll check references for that company.
Okay, Any questions about it? The low bidder wasn't qualified at this time. Go ahead, John.
I just wanted to add to what Will was explaining. Nancy told me earlier in the week that she had done sufficient reference checks and communication with the vendor to clarify their experience in the space. These are very large underground storage tanks. I believe they're 5,000 or 6,000 gallons. They require a certain amount of expertise. The bidder had relatively little or no experience. I believe he explained he had experience removing a 500-gallon tank. So that's the reason for the withdrawal or the rejection of the bid based on the inexperience.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, before we
Go ahead.
vote, what was the name of the bid that we're rejecting? The
The
company?
Kenneth Company?
Canniff
What was it?
Company of Quincy,
Quincy?
Canniff.
Are those the people that were here the other day, the week?
There
Or
was
is that
quite a
different?
few of them here.
There's quite a bit.
They may have
quite a
He
bit.
was here,
There's
Canniff
quite-
was here, the others
yeah,
were here too.
quite
I
a
don't
bit.
know one from the other. I knew who the Canniff people are. They're very, you want to buy a monument, I mean, they've been in
Yeah.
business 100 years.
Yeah,
I didn't know they are a general contracting business, but
Right.
they're branching out evidently.
okay. So lack of experience in doing what we need to do,
Yeah,
that makes recommendations. So I'd make a motion to reject the low bid that had been submitted by Kenneth Company, Quincy, based upon the lack of expertise needed for a particular job.
Yes.
and go to review the next
And
bids.
in
for
conjunction
future
with that,
award.
that we go examine then the next person, next bid, next lowest
Next
bid.
lowest bid, yes.
All right. Which is who? Who is it?
Okay,
Do you know who it is?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember.
Okay, all right, well, whatever, Nancy would know.
Well, they're gonna go through the same process.
Yeah.
Reference checks and
Right.
experience and testing.
All right, so motion to reject the bid.
I mean,
Lack of
I think we'll
expertise.
come out of it based on the attendance we had
Yeah.
with a vendor here.
Oh, they're all here, it was amazing.
You know, yeah, there were 4 or 5 of them here.
Okay. So I made a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
Thanks.
thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you. Good to see you.
Number 12, contract awards, we have none. Number 14, fiscal year 21 county report for approval. I'm gonna have Assistant Director Buckley come in for this. He carried the ball on this project. It's in your packet. It's an annual report, which by state law, we're required to supply every year. This is the 21, so we're lagging, but we're making progress. Bill, have a seat.
Hey, Bill.
I had a chance to peruse it this morning. It's in good order and I think ready to be accepted.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah, really.
And
Looks
Bill did a
great.
great job and we'll probably go
Great.
back and right up with the 22 report coming right in behind it, but
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, we worked closely with Phil to gather all this. There's requisite pieces and there's additional pieces, some of the departmental reports. In years past, the document has been sort of an amalgamation of a lot of Xerox pages and the like. What we've tried to do is get more clear,
Right.
crisp
That's right.
representation
No,
of
I read it. I
facts
did.
and figures.
I didn't read the whole thing.
no,
sorry.
but
Sorry, sorry.
As I said in my memo, we hope for it to move in a even more streamlined fashion so that 22 and 23 will look even more congruous one section to another. We did take the liberty of dedicating the report to Franny for 21 because that's when
We're gonna send a copy to the chairman.
we will send a copy to Cindy and them. I will point out to Appendix D, E and F on the back. That's where we will attach the minutes from the advisory board and the county commission. Chairman Shays desires later in the fiscal year to bind it,
start
much
finding
like
every word.
some of the older. You can see here up on the wall to my extreme right. This is 24 to 27. They bound them 3 together, so we're going to see what costs the least to do, so that we have all of our records throughout the year in one bound place. Perhaps a couple years together. We'll have a very limited number, maybe 2 or 3. One for here for the public record, one next door for the historical record, just so that we can kind of capture what you've done. Obviously, next year we will be looking at all of that information, plus the inclusion of some of your initiatives like the Abrahams Group's report, the Ripples Group's report, the start of ARPA, presentations like that. So this document will, like an accordion, grow and shrink depending on what we're doing. But it's supposed to be a snapshot of what's in every year.
So this isn't the actual finished report. In the end, it will be in the book.
Yeah, we will bind
It'll be
it,
available.
and it will be
Yeah.
online as well.
Yeah.
Save for what I'll probably do is take those last two appendices and just put hyperlinks for the online version to the minutes.
Great
It's
effort.
about 50
It's great.
pages.
I mean, I can't say I read every single page.
No, I
word for
understand,
word,
but it's
But I
good.
did get a chance to look at it. I was very
And we're,
impressed.
we're catching up.
Yeah,
so
we
to
are.
speak.
What, is that a reason? Are we normally behind in the county?
Well,
Is that how it
generally
goes?
speaking, we produce the annual report after the audit for the year. So the audit a couple months ago,
Right.
here is this. Likewise, when 22 is closed, we will then, in short order, give you the document for 22 and so on.
Yeah, it's great. Great job.
Again, like
Yeah.
a lot of these pieces, Phil is very helpful in gathering together, and my work was really just making it look
Great testament to Franny, too. Wonderful.
nice right at the
That's
beginning.
really beautiful. No, it
Yeah.
really is. So we need a motion to approve?
You can take it
I
under
think so.
advisement if you like.
There you go.
Approve it now.
I'll second the motion.
All right, there you go. Beautiful.
Excellent.
All in favor?
Aye, motion approved. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Billy. Thanks,
I
Bill.
think this
See ya.
is
Really.
a step in the
Take
right
care.
direction. Okay, moving right along. Report of the county director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I only have a few items.
All right.
The golf course has received a permit from MassDOT for the long-awaited sign to be installed on the course. They have a short 3-month window finalized and the sign installed, so we'll be working on that. Commissioners may know that this has been a multi-year event that involved our engineering department, our golf course staff, and of course MassDOT. So we hope to have the sign installed shortly and back in business with signage from Reddit Ave. I received notice this past week from a firm known as the National Opioid Settlement Group, Brown Greer PLC. They've notified the county and presumably other municipalities that the next round of opioid grants has been approved for distribution. The commissioners may know that we've previously received a round of opioid grants via the Janssen/Johnson & Johnson settlement round. This round is CVS, Walgreens payments, and Norfolk County over the time period projected, with I believe is a 7-year period, is looking at a total of $22,100. The amounts vary year to year. I have some work to do to assure that these funds will find their way to our treasury, and we can then begin working on another round of opioid distributions, presumably with the commissioner's approval through the district attorney's office like we did last.
Right. Our last distribution we sent to the
DA.
already set up countywide council, so to speak, call it something better than the DA, and funnel the money through that. It was already set up. It was
What was
easy.
that first one? 15?
The first one went to
15?
Randolph Police for
No,
Narcan.
but the opioid one, this was
Was it Narcan?
Was it
the
15?
first
Yeah, it was
one?
approximately
about
15,000.
15,000.
Yeah, but the first one was like $8,500.
Yeah, that was a
Went
one-off
to-
that we gave.
Went to the Randolph Police
Oh, yeah.
for Narcan,
Right.
buy the kits.
Right. Good.
But we'll look at each one, but again, we collectively decided that since that group was open and functioning, and it had, I believe, representatives, but all but 2 communities on it, and they were, functioning board.
Works well.
They know best.
That's a good job. Thank you.
The
Okay.
last, I'll start
Go
there.
ahead, yeah.
Thank you. The last item, just to let the commissioners know, we are approaching the end of a 3-year cycle on our PEC agreement. Pursuant to the last agreement, we have to have our first meeting by March 1st of the year preceding the agreement's expiration. We've been in contact with the union and have scheduled meetings with them in early March. So we've made contact pursuant to the agreement and hope to begin a dialogue. I believe it's before the middle of March. I can't remember the specific date, but we'll be meeting with APSME and the PEC representatives to discuss the terms of the new agreement over the next several months. So that's all I have at this time.
Any questions of the director?
If I could.
Commissioner
Just 2
Staley.
quick ones. So the handbook that we voted,
The employee handbook.
employee handbook, right?
Yeah.
How are we doing in terms of getting additional, we had some feedback, but how's it going in terms of all the feedback?
We have a planned meeting, again, I don't recall the date off the top of my head, in early March with, AFSCME to discuss potential impact issues for union members.
Great,
Non-union members have been signing the endorsement form that they've received and understanding the contents. Maureen Light has been handling that. The form is, excuse me, the report has also been delivered to the schools. And they're in a similar space. The teachers union is looking at it. They may want to do some impact. It's up to them. So that's the status.
second and last one, any more updates possibly on the electric charging process,
The
the grants for that?
a little bit of an update. The state recently released a separate grant program. Sam actually shared it with me that seems to replicate the same programmatic elements, and that it's funded, for EV charging station development. It lacked the same kind of pathway to get there. So, if Commissioner, you may recall, we had a third-party vendor who was working on behalf of the utility company, who would fill out the application, file the application with DOER, and kind of handle it through the process for no fee. And that was up to $50,000 per grant. This new solicitation that came out, I have to match them to see if one favors a path over the other. That just came out, I think, on Tuesday. I'm still evaluating that.
All right. That's all I had.
Okay,
Very productive day.
thank you.
Thank you, John.
Number 16. Emergency items. Any topic the chair did not reasonably anticipate would be discussed. I have none. Director Cronin, do you have anything else?
I do not.
Mr. Chairman, we have a invitation to a breakfast next week. I think, is it next? Yeah, the last,
The sheriffs, you mean?
right.
I thought it was March 5th, but go ahead.
I thought it was the 28th.
I'm sorry.
I'm getting all mixed
All
up.
right, yes, go
I
ahead.
thought there was something next Wednesday. I just thought we're gonna be able to get back in time for a starting time.
Oh, I would think so.
Okay, so we'll just keep the starting time at 1 o'clock.
What, refresh my memory, is it the,
Something about a breakfast for seniors. I thought it.
I got it down for March 5th. I'll
Maybe it's
double
March
check
5th.
it. I'll
I could be
double check
wrong.
it.
Okay,
That's a Wednesday. No, that's a Tuesday.
okay,
I'll double check and let you know.
all right.
Okay, last call.
Well,
Motion to adjourn.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now.